So, live once again. Good evening, folks. Welcome to Friday Night Tech Talk. I'm Mobile Geezer. You know that if you're watching this from YouTube because you're on my Mobile Geezer channel. But we also simulcast on X, Twitter, at Mobile Geezer, and on Facebook at Mobile Geezer and at George Hayes. So you can watch us on any of the three. If you're new, we do this every Friday. We go over a few articles from last Friday to this Friday that might be newsworthy. If there's a big event during the week, I usually cover that. There haven't been any real big events this week as far as I know. But other than that, I try to come up with some stories and articles that I think just might be interested to you guys, because most of you guys are tech heads like me. So, first one in here tonight was Brian was in here like before 6:30, so more than an hour and a half ago. So he was really early. And then Annette, I think Annette goes to work on Friday nights. She's out in California, of course. So I'm not sure if she said see you on Thursday. So I'm not sure if she's leaving work or going to work. But in any case, I was glad she checked in. So every week I put the show notes on my webpage. So let me show you that. Let me share screen. So if you go to mobilegeezer.wordpress.com, if you click on today's date, you'll get just the show notes for tonight's show. So I've got a few articles that I thought were interesting. First one was really interesting. I found this last night. Fake AI voice clone used to try getting a high school principal fired. Now, I caught this last night and I put it up as the #1 story. I have seen 4 videos while I was riding around at work. I wasn't driving. I sit in the back half the time when I'm working for Enterprise, but I saw 4 videos about this same story. So everybody's grabbed a hold of this story, how you can use AI fake voice cloning, and I guess you can also use it with people's images. So that's what we're going to start with. I pulled it from The Verge. And the next story, we've got net neutrality back as of yesterday. This is a very short article I found on Gizmodo. I didn't even know that it had come back, but yes, it came back yesterday. So I guess most of us tech heads are going to be glad to see net neutrality back. And then I didn't realize this was happening, but it's also finally got approved by the FCC yesterday. FCC allows T-Mobile's acquisition of Mint Mobile. So I pulled the story from Reuters. I had originally had it from somebody else, but it wouldn't let me switch it to reader view, so I found it there. So we'll go take a look. Again, a short story. And if it's just me tonight, it's going to be just me. Oh, and Annette said, okay, she's here tonight. So I guess sometimes she's working on Fridays and sometimes not. So very glad you're here, Annette. Then we're going to, there's a couple of stories, but I found this one on Internet Authority. I said, is Apple as eco-friendly as stated? Possibly not. And they've got good reasons to back that up. And I've seen the story on a couple of other people saying the same thing. And then I said, as we reported in February, if you remember, we had a story back in February that HMD is not going to be just making Nokia phones. They're going to start making their own brand of phones. Well, they have started doing that. So I found that on Tech Radar. We'll talk about that. Now, these are going to be mid-rangers. So I'm probably going to pick one up at some point, but they're not in the U.S. yet. So, and then this is, I guess you can't really say this is a tech story because there's no real tech involved, but it's a pretty cool story. I just couldn't resist it. I just said a natural and unique way to care for the environment. And this basically cleans the air with a plant using no real tech. So I just thought it was a cool story, and I think you'll probably think it's pretty cool too. So those are the 6 stories we're going to, uh, and that's with us. She said here tonight. She said we have an e-waste on Saturday. Okay. And she says she prepares a Friday night. Okay. So I guess those are the times that she's working. So we're good to go. And if by some miracle Will joins us, I will certainly let you know. Now, Ted hasn't joined us at least he didn't join us last week. I don't think. No, he was here the week before. So if Ted comes in, I haven't spoken to him. I'll certainly let you know. And here's Elmer. Hey, Elmer, glad you're here too. So we've got the big 3 regulars, Brian and Annette and Elmer. All 3 of you guys are here. You guys are as faithful as all get out. So let's go back to the story. Like I said, I'll let you know if Ted comes in. It's usually a better show when Ted is here. But you'll put up with me, I hope. So going to the first story, and like I said, since yesterday, everybody seems, at least I've seen 4 other videos referencing the stories. So I said, fake AI voice clone used to try getting high school principal fired. And so let's go to The Verge and check it out. A gym teacher accused of using AI voice clone to try and get a high school principal fired. Oh, he's been arrested, by the way. Baltimore County Police arrested Dazhan Darian on Thursday and says he used generative AI to fake a racist rant that sounded like the Pikesville High School principal. And I think at the end of this article, they say Pikesville is basically a Baltimore suburb. So this was written by Amelia David yesterday. And this came out late, like about 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So that's why everybody was picking it up today. So I was glad I grabbed it when I did. So let's go into read review and get rid of some of these ads. And this is the kind of stuff people have said is going to happen with AI. So this could be, this is, some serious criminal activity. A physical education teacher and former athletic director of a Baltimore County high school has been arrested and charged with using an AI voice cloning service to frame the school's principal. Nice, right? The Baltimore Banner reports that Baltimore County Police believe a recording that circulated on social media in January with purported audio of Pikesville High School principal Eric Eiswert making racist and anti-Semitic comments was fake. Experts told the Baltimore Banner and police that the recording, which briefly resulted in Eiswert's suspension, has a flat tone, unusually clean background sounds, and a lack of consistent breathing sounds or poses. So I guess if you add the 3 together, it becomes pretty obvious that it's a fake. Baltimore County Police traced the recording to Dazhan Darian, a former athletic director at the school whose name was also mentioned in the audio clip. So he even had the guy talking about him, I guess trying to make it more realistic. He allegedly used school computers, but that's his first stupid mistake, easily traceable, to access OpenAI tools and Microsoft Bing chat services, as reported by WBAL-TV 11 and NBC News. He was also linked to the audio's release via an email address and associated recovery phone number. So this guy is no seasoned criminal, obviously. He left a trail for the police to find. It is not clear what AI voice platform Darian allegedly used. The police arrested Darian on Thursday at the airport, at the airport. So I'm wondering if he was trying to get away or what. I just thought that was interesting that it was at the airport. And said in a statement, it's believed Mr. Darian, who was an athletic director at Pikesville High School, made the recording to retaliate against Mr. Iceworth, who at the time was pursuing an investigation, now get this, into the potential mishandling of school funds. So the guy was already a crook. He has been released after posting bail and, get this, faces charges including theft for the issue with school funds, disturbing the operations of the school, retaliation against a witness, and stalking. I'll bet you there's going to be more than that. And since this cloning stuff is so new, there's probably, we haven't developed all the laws we're going to develop yet. Over the past year, interest in AI-powered voice cloning technology has grown as the services get better at sounding more human. But these apps have also gotten people into hot water. The political party of Imran Khan, the jailed former prime minister of Pakistan, used 11 Labs, a popular commercially available text-to-voice generation platform, to replicate his voice during the campaign. Now remember this story coming. 2 Texas companies were linked to a fake robocall pretending to be President Joe Biden, telling people not to vote. I remember that story. The Federal Communications Commission banned the use of AI robocalls in February, thank God. And of course, the fake Drake used AI to create the song Heart on My Sleeve. In this fraught environment, OpenAI decided in March to withhold its AI text-to-voice generation platform, smart move on their part, voice engine from public use. The service, which only requires a 15-minute audio clip to clone someone's voice, is only available to a limited number of researchers due to the lack of guardrails around the technology. Now, it did strike me, if you were trying to get a 15-minute audio clip of someone's voice, that's kind of long to get if you to try to fake somebody's voice. So I guess this guy in the school, pretty easy to get the principal's audio on school computers, I guess. U.S. lawmakers have filed but not yet passed several bills like the No Fakes Act and the No AI Fraud Act. Those are the 2 I guess they're considering, that seek to prevent technology companies from using an individual's face, voice, or name without their permission. Updated yesterday, clarified that Pikesville High School is in the city of Pikesville in Baltimore County, so same county, like I said, a suburb of Baltimore, and added details about Darian and Thursday's arrest. So just an interesting story, and I'm sure we're going to be hearing more stories like this with people trying to use AI for criminal purposes. So I'm just glad they caught this guy. I'm glad the principal got his job back. And I think, I'm not going to play it here, but if you go to the article, you can play this and you will hear the fake voice and some of the stuff that was said, but he was trying to frame him as a racist, which of course I guess he isn't. So just trying to get even. I just thought that was a pretty interesting story, and I wanted to start with that. So, and it said, hi, Eleanor. I think I flashed that before. So nothing new. Like I said, if Ted comes in, I'll let you guys know. So I'm going to go to the next story. I thought this is very short, but I thought this was kind of a big deal for all of us. The awaited return of net neutrality. So I found it on Gizmodo. Like I said, I didn't know till I found this yesterday that it had even happened. Net neutrality is back. Yes, you should care. I agree. The open internet is once again protected from corporations by Oscar Gonzalez, published yesterday. And that's Ms. Rosenworcel, who's in charge of the FCC. Remember when she first got appointed by Biden, she was temporary, but then she became permanent. So let's put this into review and get rid of these ads. Okay. Yeah, she's the commission chair of Jessica Rosenworcel. I couldn't think of her first name. The Federal Communications Commission killed net neutrality back in 2017 under former President Donald Trump, but on Thursday, it brought it back from the dead. Net neutrality, the principle that internet providers should treat all traffic equally and not throttle or block certain traffic for whatever reasons, is once again in effect after the FCC voted 3-2. I was surprised it was so close, in favor of its return. This reinstates the policies first established in 2015 that regulate telecom companies and prohibit the blocking or throttling of certain lawful content. And I gather this vote took place yesterday also. Along with preventing internet providers from throttling or blocking traffic, the FCC also added language, so they added 2 or 2, to stop companies from prioritizing certain traffic. Thanks to 5G technology, which was not around when it was first passed, telecom companies can do what's called network slicing. I didn't know about this, which can create multiple virtual subnetworks and prioritize certain 5G customers over others, depending on whether they paid for a premium subscription to the provider. The rules back in 2015 didn't put a focus on this concept since 5G wasn't around back then like it is today. So I'm glad they added that. The FCC will be able to stop foreign-owned entities that may pose a threat to national security from operating broadband networks. And if networks go down, preventing workers, businesses, or even students from doing their work, the commission can get involved. As expected, internet providers are not going to take this lying down. Gee, what a surprise. And will pursue the options available to them to stop net neutrality from happening. So I guess it's not in full force yet. This is from them. This is a non-issue for broadband customers who have enjoyed an open internet for decades. Jonathan Spalter, the president of a broadband lobbying group, U.S. Telecom, told the New York Times Thursday. If I remember correctly, I believe U.S. Telecom has been around since the late 80s or 90s, because I think when I was programming, I worked on a contract for them, right? Maybe 89, something like that, a while ago. Anyway, when I saw the name, it just jolted in my memory. So I think most of us tech heads are very glad to have net neutrality back. So I thought that was good news that I should share with you guys. So let me get out of this. Okay. And nothing else new in the comments. It's going to be a quick early night, folks. So, third story, I didn't realize until yesterday that this had happened, and this also happened yesterday. Yesterday was kind of an eventful day for our kind of stuff. FCC allows T-Mobile's acquisition of Mint Mobile. It seemed like it happened kind of quietly, in my opinion, but I'm not positive. It's like I said, I got it from Reuters. U.S. FCC approves T-Mobile deal to buy budget provider Mint Mobile. And again, this happened yesterday afternoon. Again, late, 4:30 p.m. that this article came out. So I guess late yesterday was a pretty eventful day. This was by David Shepardson. So back into review. Washington, April 25th. The U.S. Federal Communications Commission said on Thursday it will approve the T-Mobile U.S. deal to buy Canacorp, the owner of budget service provider Mint Mobile, for up to $1.35 billion. So they are buying the parent company, which of course includes Mint Mobile. The FCC cited T-Mobile's voluntary agreement to implement a 60-day unlocking period for all Mint Mobile and Ultra Mobile devices activated on the T-Mobile network before and after the closing. So I'm guessing that they included that 60-day unlocking period because when they had the takeover of Sprint, they probably learned some things. That's my guess. The FCC said the agreement will make it easier for Mint Mobile and Ultra Mobile customers to switch service providers. T-Mobile said after receiving regulatory approval that it now expects to close the deal on May 1st. So we only got a few days. T-Mobile announced the deal to buy the owner of Ryan Reynolds-backed budget service provider in March 2023, saying it would allow the company to tap a larger share of the pay-as-you-go customer base. I guess they want those people. The agreement consists of 39% cash and 61% stock, with the final purchase price set to be decided by Kenna's performance during certain periods before and after the closing of the deal, T-Mobile said last year. So we don't know what the exact price is as yet. I guess we'll know May 1st. Mint is known for its marketing tactics that often feature part owner Reynolds. He does a lot of commercials, especially on YouTube. At the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, the Deadpool star left a voicemail for users informing them that the company had given them unlimited free data. That's right, I forgot about that. So that takeover, I guess, is been approved and it will happen 5 days from now. So another heavy day for tech yesterday. Let's get out of here. Still nothing new, so I will move on. Like I said, it's going to be a quick night. This I just found to be an interesting story. Is Apple as eco-friendly as stated? Possibly not. So let's go to Android Authority and see what they have to say about it. Interestingly, this article is a week old, but I just found it yesterday, so I just thought it was interesting and you guys might be interested. A new report highlights Apple's environmental hypocrisy with iPhones. Does Apple truly care about the planet? It doesn't seem like it when you look past the marketing. And this is by Mahmoud Itani. And like I said, it's from a week ago. So let's put it in read a view. And I have seen a couple of other articles also talking about Apple's hypocrisy. So this is not reflecting well on Apple at all. In recent years, Apple has been particularly loud about its environmental efforts and sustainability. Yes, they have. You remember the thing with Mother Nature in their presentation? That was a really big deal. As its 2030 deadline to become carbon neutral approaches, the company has been dedicating segments in its media events to share its progress and relevant updates. A new report, however, sheds light on some lesser-known procedures that contradict what the tech overlord publicly preaches. The consumer-facing practices. To unsuspecting customers, Apple seems to care deeply about our planet. After all, the Cupertino firm stopped shipping charging bricks with new iPhones and reduced the packaging size noticeably. And boy, did they make a big deal about it, how eco-friendly they were being by taking away the charging bricks. Furthermore, it discontinued its leather-made accessories, that's right, in favor of the more eco-friendly fine woven line, which is also going away. We've had stories about that this week, which deteriorates at a much faster rate, by the way. That's not to mention its focus on utilizing cleaner energy sources for its operations to reduce the pollution it causes. So all good stuff, right? Now, the other side. The company has also boasted about its robots, Liam and Daisy, which were designed to disassemble traded-in iPhones. So good thing. The two robots will disassemble the phones, right? But through them, Apple gets to reclaim some of the functional components, recycle them, and consequently minimize the e-waste it produces. From afar, this all seems responsible and eco-conscious. But what if we were to take a closer look? Behind Apple's greenwashed mask. According to Bloomberg, Liam and its successor Daisy aren't exactly reliable in getting their job done efficiently. The former robot, Liam, would malfunction if the inserted iPhone screws were corroded. Furthermore, without human assistance, Liam wouldn't run for more than 10 minutes. So not the most dependable robot. Meanwhile, Daisy is a more foolproof version, but still, it can only dismantle around 200 units per hour. Now get that, 200 units an hour. That's almost 1.2 million recycled iPhones a year. So it sounds impressive. So this robot can take care of getting parts recycled for 1.2 million phones. But Apple sells that number of phones every 48 hours. So they sell that much, a year's worth that the robot can do in 2 days. So what happens to the rest of the trade-in iPhones? They get shredded. When a used product doesn't meet Apple's high standards to be refurbished and resold, it gets shredded by a third-party company. The valuable metals are then extracted from the elemental soup and incorporated into the new devices. So they're going to make their money on it even after they're shredded. Shredding, however, wastes more components than Daisy's procedure. One of the main issues associated with shredding is that many of the devices sent, get this, are functional and could easily be repurposed. Those getting them shredded reportedly found it challenging at times, as the devices weren't always damaged significantly. Despite that, they had to break them down to meet contractual obligations. In just a couple of years, Apple shipped Jeep, a shredding company, more than 530,000 iPhones, 25,000 iPads, and 19,000 watches for shredding. Pardon me, that's a lot of tech. If Apple is truly concerned about the environment, it would have repurposed the functional electronics instead of destroying them en masse. I agree. There's scope to introduce an additional tier of refurbished products that are a bit lower in quality, which could provide a second home to these less than perfect iPhones, even at an even cheaper rate. The new activation lock is a double-edged carbon emitter. Now, get this. According to the same report, Apple claimed that around 100,000 items sent to Jeep for shredding were actually stolen. Yeah, I'll bet they were. The Cupertino tech giant detected a number of flagged iPhones being activated in China, as employees would smuggle them out of the shredding factory and sell them elsewhere as used phones or spare parts. Now, how do we know that? They're talking about them being stolen in China? Wouldn't it make Apple look a little bit better if they were stolen? I'm not buying any of it. That's just me, though. That process, however, is about to get a lot trickier, as Apple's activation lock now applies to spare parts too. So if it's not true, they're not going to be able to carry that story forward much longer. For those unfamiliar, the activation lock feature disables lost or stolen iPhones, making them useless beyond extracting their spare parts. With this feature expanding to individual phone internals, iPhone internals, devices obtained through unofficial means will also be useless as spare parts. So eliminating the need to steal them in the first place, or the reason to steal them. While the spare parts activation lock will make iPhones less appealing targets for thieves, it will certainly increase the e-waste. Ultimately, iPhones will continue to get stolen or lost anyway, and no one will be able to utilize them meaningfully. To be clear, this isn't to defend thieves in any way, yeah, I'm sure. However, it has become apparent that Apple is purposefully wasting resources by forcing functional devices to be shredded. I agree. If smugglers can manage to give these devices a new lifeline, the trillion-dollar company surely can devise a proper procedure that similarly spares usable iPhones. But that wouldn't make business sense, so here we are. So I think they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar, and I'm glad they did, because they make such a big deal about how eco-friendly they've been. Not so much, I gather. All right, nothing else new in the comments. I think we've got two more stories left. All right. If you remember, back in February, we told you HMD would be making their own brand of phones, not just Nokia branded phones anymore. Now, I'm not sure if they stopped making Nokia completely, but now they have their first ones under their own brand coming out. So I found it on Tech Radar. So let's go take a look. and this is from 2 days ago. HMD steps out of Nokia's shadow and launches its own mid-range smartphone line by Cesar Cadenas. The new Pulse, that's the model name, Pulse. The new model name consists of 3 similar performing models. That's, I saw it already said it's by Caesar. So let's go put it into reader view and get rid of these ads. Is reader view going to act up on me? Come on. One more try. There we go. Okay, HMD is breaking into new territory by launching its first smartphone line under an original name. It'll no longer be known as just the manufacturer of Nokia phones. And some of those Nokia phones were pretty good. At least I bought some back in the day. And in total, there are 3 mid-range devices in the series: the HMD Pulse, Pulse Plus, and Pulse Pro. The third model is meant to be the leader of the pack. Although if you look at their respective specifications, you'll notice they are all very similar to one another with a few differences. The HMD Pulse Pro, that's the high one, houses a Unisoc. I don't know Unisoc. I'm thinking this is made in Europe. T606 processor running on a 5,000 milliamp battery capable of lasting up to 59 hours on a single charge. Buyers can equip the phone with up to 8 gigabytes of RAM. Storage capacity peaks at 128 gigabytes, although you can expand it to 256 with an SD card. On the front, you have a 6.65-inch HD Plus touchscreen with an image resolution of 1612 by 720 pixels. Up top is a 50 megapixel selfie camera. Yeah, that's only on the high one, I think, supported by multiple features. Gesture navigation, for example, lets you use hand gestures like a finger heart or a thumbs up to instruct the selfie lens to take a photo. And pictures taken at night are, the company claims, clear as day. That should be interesting to see if we ever see it in America. Thanks to AR Super Portrait boosting the luminosity. So there's the 3 phones. Around the back is a 2-camera setup, so you can see it's 2 cameras, consisting of another 50 megapixel lens and a 2 megapixel depth option. They too have their own set of supporting features. Skin tone optimization ensures people of different skin complexions look good in photographs no matter what. That's good. You also have flare shot for taking multiple pictures in quick succession. When it comes to the other 2 models, they have nearly identical configurations, the same chipset, the same battery, same display, and so on. Differences among the trio are centered around their camera system. Well, that's what you'd expect. HMD states the Pulse Plus has a 50 megapixel rear camera, even though you see 2 lenses, and an 8 megapixel selfie. So the expensive one has a better selfie. The standard Pulse phone bumps the rear lens down to just 13 megapixel. Some of the Pulse Pro's image enhancing software is found on the pair, like the skin tone optimization, but the hand gestures aren't. It's also important to mention that all 3 are repairable. That's good. HMD is partnering up with iFixit in providing spare parts. That's very good. Users will be able to replace cracked screens, bent charging ports, or a completely dead battery. No word on when the repair kits and parts will launch. They're not available on iFixit website at the time of this writing. Okay, so I guess the phones just came out, but only in Britain so far, in the UK. Now get this, the standard Pulse phone, that's the lower one, is available for purchase in the UK for £99.99 on HMD's website in Meteor Black. Now get this, the dreamy pink variant is out of stock at the moment. Now, if they just started selling them, how did they get out of stock? It just seems very strange to put it that way. Both the Pulse Plus and the Pulse Pro will roll out in the United Kingdom soon. However, an exact date was not given, so only the cheapest one is available right at this moment. There are plans to launch an independent phone in the US known as the HMD Vibe. So I guess I'm thinking the high-end one will be the HMD Vibe in the US. At least that's my guess. It'll be similar to the others in that it'll have a 2-day battery life, 4 gigabytes of memory, and a dual camera setup. However, the Vibe will house a Snapdragon chipset rather than the Unisoc processor, which makes sense. There are also plans to release a Trio in the EU, but if you try to buy any of them on the international page, you'll just run into an error message. We reached out to the brand for more information. So it seems like I think they kind of jumped the gun because the only one you can get in the UK right now is the cheap one, and they don't know when the other two will be coming, and they don't know when they're going to reach the EU, and they don't know when they're going to produce the Vibe version in the US. So it sounds to me like they jumped the gun a bit. But HMD is making their own mid-range phone, so if it's any good when it comes out here in the US, maybe I'll be able to get a hold of one. So we'll see what happens. So let's get out of there. Okay, I've got one more story, so no TED, so we're going to be finished pretty quickly. This, like I said, not so much tech. I just thought it was a cool story. A natural and unique way to care for the environment. That's how I phrase it. This was, again, was on Tech Radar. And this is a French company. This company just bioengineered a plant-bacteria combo to clean air better than an air purifier. Now, you know, you can put plants in a room and it'll start purifying the air, but this plant will do the job of 30 plants. That's the key here. The secret is by bacteria, and this was by Lance Uhlenhoff, who we know does a lot of their articles. And this was from 2 days ago. So back into read review, and like I said, I just thought this was a good story. These are the big chefs. Neoplant CTO Patrick Torbay and CEO Lionel Mora with the Neo PX plant product. This is the product. This article is part of a series of sustainability-themed articles we're running to observe Earth Day 2024, which is kind of cool that came out this week, and promote more sustainable practices. Check out all of our Sustainability Week 2024 content. Plants and trees take carbon monoxide from the atmosphere. That's common knowledge, but given the amount of pollutants we produce both outdoors and in our homes, plant life can only do so much to clean out air. However, the bioengineering firm Neoplants has a new idea, and it may change the way you feel about houseplants and their air cleaning capabilities. Like I said, I just thought this was a very cool product. This week, the French company launched its first product, Neo PX. It's not technology in the traditional sense. In fact, almost all of it is organic or reclaimed. Inside a home, you might be challenged to even spot the product because it just looks like another houseplant, which is the result of 4 years of bioengineering research and directed evolution. So they evolved this thing over 4 years. And if it works the way they said, I think it's awesome. And where hardware and software engineers work in ones and zeros, Neoplant scientists work with 4 letters, specifically the letters denoting 4 of the components of DNA. Adenine, cytosine, guanine, and thymine. And I went yesterday and found out from Google how to pronounce those, so I'm pronouncing them right. To re-engineer toxin-eating bacteria and create a new kind of eco-forward houseplant. So they took a regular toxic eating plant, in other words, that'll make the air purer, and they just kept enhancing it to make it better and better and better. And I think now it's like 30 times a regular plant. Sitting last week with the company's co-founders, CEO Lionel Moore and CTO Patrick Tope, PhD, who has a doctorate in, I never heard of this, genomic engineering. I don't know what that is. Amid roughly 30 houseplants, they directed my attention to one single vibrant marble queen pothos resting in a beige planter. That would be this one. So that's from the top, and there it is from the side. And that's the planter. And that's also part of what you're buying. This was no typical plant. The planter, or self-watering shell, as they called it, is made of bioplastics from recycled agricultural waste and features a vented shell and basket interior that holds the plant with supercharged air purification capability. It can, they explain, pull from the air 30 times more volatile organic compounds, VOCs, than a typical plant. So you'd have to have 30 plants to match this one. Or more specifically, to do its own, on its own, the work of 30 other plants stuffed into the hotel room. The secret is not so much the plant as it is a symbiotic relationship between neoplant's bioengineered bacterium and the leafy pothos. That's this. Every month, the plant gets a dose of power drops, a powdered solution that you mix with water and then pour into the plant's soil. This delivers the powerful bacteria. Normal plants also have bacteria on them and in the soil, just as your biome has healthy bacteria on your skin and in your gut, which then live among the roots and pull in toxins through the leaves and soil, thanks to the vents in the plant basket that pull in air and move it over the roots, which they convert to nutrients. So somehow the planter itself sucks the air in the room to the plant, and it cleans it and puts it back out. I just think it's fascinating. While the bacteria occurs in nature, this is not the same bacteria you'd find in nature. 4 years ago, Neoplant's researchers began traveling to polluted regions to look for bacteria that appeared to thrive in those conditions. So they did a great job here, I think. The company then pressure tested the bacteria to see which ones worked best with higher levels of VOCs. As it did this, it also identified the bacteria that were able to adapt to handle ever-increasing levels of pollutants. So they developed this thing. It was through this process of directed evolution that it engineered its custom VOC-loving strain, also known as Pseudomonas putida. Don't ask me to say that 5 times. The pairing with the pothos is also specific, since the co-founders told me the company can't guarantee the bacteria will be as effective with a different plant. So it has to be this type of plant. I gather it's the most effective at cleaning the air. Now, the company is ready to start selling its first product, a Neo PX package that for $139 includes the plant shell, that's the planter, or this is what's inside the planter, 6 packets of the powder drops mixture and a glass beaker and stirrer, just like the lab, to mix it. Those who pay for a 6-month supply of the bacteria upfront can get the package for $119. Quarterly power drops supplies cost $39. Now, to me, none of that seems all that expensive to me if it's really cleaning the air the way it does. I would just like to give it some months to see if it actually does work and see what people say about it. But I still think it's very cool. One plant covers the air quality for a typical sized bedroom. If you want more coverage, you'll need more plants and power drops. So This is just here. The aerated basket helps keep dirty air move, so it sucks the air in over the plant's covered root system. This is also a self-watering plant. Water is poured into the side, and a pair of strings suck up the water as needed. I think that is so cool. That's not cheap, and it's not clear how people who normally forget to water their regular plants will remember to feed their NeoPX plant the Voc cleaning bacterium each month. Yeah, that would be a waste of money if you weren't going to water properly. It's not hard to do, but people will forget, and others may balk at the upkeep price for what appears to be just a pretty plant. But it sounds pretty good, and I don't think it's all that expensive. Plus, neoplants can't come to your home and prove the VOC cleaning capabilities yet. Most consumer-grade air quality test systems, they told me, cannot measure the tiny molecule-sized particulate levels of VOCs. Consumer air purifiers that rely on filters may also fail at this task. So how do you prove it inside your house? I gather it's difficult to do. And there's no test kit included with the product because it's not possible to measure without expensive equipment. So that's what I'm saying. To me, let it be out for a while and see what people are saying about it, and what I would think that's the only way you're going to really know if it works. Still, the company can show you the receipts for all its testing and results. Its staff worked with a public university in France to test this system independently and built a 160 square foot test facility with what they called amplifiers to test the effectiveness of their plants and bacteria. Even now, the company continues testing its products with third parties to prove its effectiveness. So I would think you could probably look up some of these third parties and also find out what they're saying about it. Perhaps the cost will be balanced out by the peace of mind that comes with potentially lower VOC levels in the home. Yeah. According to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, VOC levels in the home are 2 to 5 times higher indoors than outdoors, which makes sense. And if you're doing something like stripping paint, yeah, the numbers skyrocket, I'm sure. VOCs are invisible, but the EPA notes their effects are not, and they range from causing nausea and skin irritation to cancer in humans and animals. Neoplant's long-term vision goes far beyond VOC hovering houseplants. The company is looking at developing products that could impact the air quality outside the home and maybe even someday help tackle climate change. In the meantime, though, they're just thinking about the NeoPX launch, and if they can satisfy some early adopters' desire for planter colors other than beige. So like I said, if it works, I'm sure they're probably going to be sensitive people that are going to be able to tell in a few weeks, a few months, how well it's working. So like I said, to me, it doesn't seem all that expensive if it works. But I guess if you want to find out if it works, you're going to have to look it up, look up the company. And remember, the name of the company is Neoplant. And the name of the product is NeoPX. So I would think it's something worth monitoring to actually find out if it actually does work. So, Annette says, wow, that plant seems, I agree. It just, the whole story just blew me away. And like I say, for the amount of money you're spending, if it really works the way they say it will work, I would think it's well worth it, especially to people who are sensitive to, the people who breathing normal air, especially indoors, people like that, I would think this would be a great boon to them. So I'm not going to promise, but I'm going to try maybe once a month for the next few months or the next 6 months. I'll look up the company, try looking up the plant, see if I can find any data on what people are saying about it, see if anybody's writing reviews about it. And as I find out, I'll try to remember to let you guys know. I guess I'll have to have a little tiny segment once a month in the Friday night show to say, okay, this is what we've learned this week about the Neo plant. So hopefully I'll remember to do that. And this thing is all they're saying it is. So I just thought that was a very good story to finish up with tonight. And like I say, I knew it would be a quick show, but not too bad. I mean, we're at 8:50, so we've been at it for 50 minutes, folks. So I'm glad for those of you who stuck with me, especially for those who stuck to the end to find out about this plan, because I think it's fascinating. I think the whole show is worth just that. But let's keep in mind, Apple may not be as eco-friendly as they claim to be. So I think it's good that that came out also. So as always, I'm going to wish everybody has a very, very blessed weekend. I'm glad you are all here. Thanks for being so faithful. And I will see you next week, and maybe we'll get lucky and have Ted. So everybody have a blessed weekend. Let's remember we all do better when we love each other.